U.S. household debt in Q3 soared by $351 billion at fastest pace in 15 years. During the third quarter, at the fastest pace in 15 years, due to hefty increases in credit card usage and mortgage balances, the Federal Reserve reported Tuesday the total debt jumped $351 billion from July to September, the largest nominal quarterly increase since 2007, bringing the collective household IOUs in the U.S. to a fresh $16.5 trillion. That's an increase of 2.2% from the previous quarter, 8.3% from a year ago. The increase follows a $310 billion jump in a second quarter and represents $1.27 trillion annual increase. Tom, what's going on over there?
Well, this is a sign of what is happening with inflation to the average American, and they're turning to their credit cards. Let me connect some dots here. There's a couple quick points for y'all. First of all, we see a headline on this. Boy, look at this jump in debt. Well, what's going on? Then you turn to Walmart and Target earnings. I dove into both of them. Walmart, very telling. They said apparel dropped. Home improvement and home goods dropped. That's called discretionary. And Goldman Sachs came out and said, we're seeing discretionary spending drop. We don't think interest rates are going to peak until May, where the Fed, they believe, is going to make it 5.25. So they're looking at a 0.5 point in December, quarter points to start the year, capping at 5.25 in May. Why is that important? Well, where's all this debt? It's on credit cards. So I went and looked up the Visa and MasterCard earnings from 3 weeks ago. Guess what? They're both up in the middle of all this. And they said consumer spending was strong, but even Visa said it's what they're spending on. They're spending on groceries. And when you dive into the Walmart story, it was very interesting. They said that there is a shift in proteins. Because remember, Walmart and Target compete, but Walmart is like 45% grocery and Target is not. Target's got sodas and chips and some groceries, but nothing compared to Walmart. So you would expect Target to be harder hit, discretionary. So I looked it up. Guess what? They were. So Walmart is seeing people move to groceries. They have analysts and a lot of their customers, and they even said that by their analytics, $100,000 customers were moving to Walmart branded groceries for staples like flour. You know, like the generic Walmart brand on flour, baby formula, diapers. They said the Walmart house brands were doing better than the more premium price.
And it's typically 10 to 20% cheaper. Is that a fair number to say? About
Absolutely fair number.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what we're seeing, this spending is saying that consumers are putting a lot of inflation on the credit card. Number one, it should, one man's interest is another man's EBITDA. Think about that, Pat. The interest on a credit card becomes EBITDA for Visa.
That's a good point.
And it showed up in their earnings report.
You know, yesterday while I'm in D.C., I'm talking to a bunch of these folks, and I said, so let me ask you a question. What's the biggest thing you're concerned about? The room is about 70% women. You hear ladies saying grocery shopping has gone up. I said, what do you mean by it?
Yep.
Milk today, $5.29 to buy milk, and it was $3 last year. I said, what do you mean? Milk has gone up from whatever it was $3 to $5.29. The first thing they talked about was milk. You have to. These are mothers, these are parents, these are sitting there saying what they're got to be doing with it. And by the way, when people start spending a little bit more on credit card, what is it saying to you? It's saying they kind of need it. It's emergency. A lot of people use their credit cards as a source of emergency fund, although emergency fund should be an emergency fund, not a credit card. So people are leaning towards credit cards. So it's going to be interesting what happens next quarter, because whether it's trending towards this happening more, but it's never good when you're seeing consumers leaning towards credent cards now. Adam, what do you got to say about this?
Speaking of milk, you saw our friend Marcelo Hernandez on SNL this weekend on Weekend Update. He's like, milk? What are you, a baby? Who drinks milk? It was so funny. So shout out to him. But it's interesting because obviously Tom is very, very insightful when it comes to the macroeconomics. I always kind of, my expertise is more in the personal finance. What I love about saying personal finance, it's your money, personal finance. So it's interesting because in 2020 and 2021, Tom, you probably know the exact stats, but we saw that more people were getting out of debt, more people were saving, more people were reversing the trend of how much they're putting on credit cards and, stacking cash in the bank. And just like that, after all the stimulus, all the unemployment, back to normal. Like 2022, let's ball out. Let's go on vacation. Let's buy some milk. Let's get crazy here. So, at the end of the day, it comes down to personal finance and individual responsibility. When you got your tax refund and you got your stimulus and you got your, you made a little extra, you got your bonus, what did you do with it? Did you go on vacation? Did you save it? Did you actually pay down debt? Or did you kind of just repeat the same vicious cycle of paycheck to paycheck, debt accumulation? What's interesting is you're talking about credit cards, there's this HELOC story. And like the average credit card is what, 18, 19%? And then people are basically, if you own a home, obviously there's been great appreciation in your home equity and your home values. People are tapping into their HELOC, their home equity line of credit. And that tends to be around what, 7-8%-ish?
Correct, 7.75 average today.
There it is. That's what we got, Tom. Yeah. Those exact numbers. I love it.
Bingo.
So that's still not a great number.
Order your Future Looks Bright hat. Click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.